This episode is called Find Me, and the title comes from the note that Daryl writes at the very end of the episode. He's basically made a choice and that he feels that he belongs with Leah. He hopes that she comes back, and he leaves a little map where his camp might be, and there's just this kind of sense of incompleteness and longing that I think is in those words, and so that's part of the vibe of this episode. It's all about memory and things that are not resolved, and so I think that was a kind of a fitting title for what this episode is. We wanted to start the episode in kind of a fun way, make it feel like Daryl and Carol after being at odds, maybe they're kind of back to where they were. We wanted to start the episode in kind of a fun way, make it feel like Daryl and Carol after being at odds, maybe they're kind of back to where they were, maybe it's even better than it was. There's still a little bit of conflict, and I think that just the fun that they're having in many of the early scenes is masking it a little bit, which I think is really true to how friendships can work. We just wanted to start tonally in a place that felt a little bit different than we've been in for a while. Carol's got a lot on her mind. She's trying to grapple with where their group is sort of in the history of the apocalypse. Were there too many lines that were crossed during this war, and they come back from it? I think she's wondering a lot about those things for herself as well. There's an interesting aspect of Daryl when other people are kind of going down this dark path. His instinct is to try to pull them back from the abyss. We're always looking for those little parallels between the past and the present in this episode, so there's lots of little moments like that where the closer and closer he's getting to this area that was this side of his grief and trauma, where he was searching for Rick, where he had this relationship with this woman. There's a lot of things being stirred up for Daryl even when he doesn't realize that it is. It's been 2 years. How long do you plan to stay out here? This episode has a lot more time jumpage than we normally have in an episode, and that definitely makes it tricky. The number one thing that drives the time jumps in this episode is what is the kind of person that Daryl would have a relationship with, and how does that unfold, and how does it happen? We love the idea that this dog really was the tie between Daryl and Leah. You have this instinct to want to bond with animals, and you kind of think, oh well, that person has a dog and they don't mistreat the dog, maybe they're not so bad. We wanted to see somebody who is as formidable as Daryl in her own way. She's in charge of her own situation. She has the same issues with trust that he has. The other thing they really have in common is they're good at reading other people. They see something in each other's eyes that is signal that they're both grief-stricken at this time, and that person is not dangerous to them, so it's better to live and let live right now. Daryl really feels pulled. Here's Leah saying, "Stay with me," and over again, and Carol's coming and saying, "I want you to find some peace." These two people that are important in this time when he could be completely alone are both trying to tell him a version of the same thing, and so he goes back only to discover where again. Daryl, being somebody who carries the weight of the world on his shoulders, sometimes cannot help but blame himself for in some way losing Lee. From Carol's perspective, she's like, where is this coming from, dude? And I think from Daryl's perspective, here's this guy that this is some sort of beginning of an end for us as a group. I think that Daryl feels that desire in her to pull away from it. For him being on the mountain, that's a period of his life that's over. He's accepted now that to make the same choice. He knows her too well and can feel that there's that little thread of her that maybe is not 100 committed yet, and I think that's what he's calling her out on there. See you next episode.